Hello, I was tagged by the lovely Erica from the channel The Perks of Books to do the 5 quotes tag. So the goal of this is to choose 5 quotes from 5 of my favorite books and explain particularly why I like those quotes. So I am starting with one of my favorite novels, The Best Laid Plans, which is a political satire by Terry Fallis, and I'm accidentally spilling tea on it, but The Best Laid Plans, and this is by far the best sex scene that I have encountered in literature. It is certainly the funniest. So it's fairly early on, and parliamentary language is key in this one. For me, Center Block is hallowed ground. I'm reluctant to defile its image with tawdry descriptions of infidelity. On the other hand, what happened that night gave me the strength to reject the path of least resistance and get the hell out of the netherworld. So I'll recount the story, but out of respect I'll take care to honor the strictures of parliamentary language. Rachel, my Rachel, was on her knees in front of the opposition House leader. Let's just say she was rather enthusiastically lobbying his caucus. Stunned and devastated, I turned away to get a better view in the lee of a well-endowed rubber plant. Rachel jumped into her advance work with both hands before moving to what seemed to be his favorite part of the proceedings, oral questions. Eventually, he pulled her up off the floor and onto the desk, where he begged leave to introduce his private member's bill. Clearly, there was unanimous consent, as the cut and thrust of debate started immediately. Well, mostly thrust. By the look on her face, second reading was proceeding satisfactorily, with just a few indecipherable heckles thrown in for good measure. The House leader occasionally shouted, "Hear, hear," and slapped her backbench in support. At one point, she amended her position on his bill, and the debate continued. They were hurtling towards royal assent when I regained my faculties. I considered rising on a point of personal privilege, but abhorring confrontation of any kind, I simply threw up on the rubber plant and stumbled out into Center Block's arched and awe-inspiring main corridor. I like this because it's damn funny. But quote number 2. This comes from Chorus of Mushrooms by Hiromi Goto. This is a novel by a Japanese-Canadian author, and this one is a lot shorter. And page 23, I'm making up the truth as I go. This novel is about a young woman recounting a period in her life, recounting her grandmother's life, and she really doesn't remember all that much. She doesn't know all that much, but she's trying to put it together into a coherent story, and she is accepting what most of us know to be true in remembering the past, in reconstructing the past. We are creating a fiction out of it. What we believe to be true isn't necessarily 100% the truth, and just because what we see as our past is not 100% true doesn't mean that is problematic. Quote number 3. This comes from Dashiell Hammett's The Thin Man. I have this lovely Every Man's Library edition with 3 of his novels in it. Olalihu didn't know his Italian history. He won the strike, but he lost his hold on the city and the state. To beat the miners, he had to let his hired thugs run wild. When the fight was over, he couldn't get rid of them. He had given his city over to them, and he wasn't strong enough to take it away from them. There's nothing elaborate about that quote, but to me it stuck out when I first read it because it is a comment on power structures. It's the way power works. Quote number 4 comes from J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan. This is one of my favorite children's novels, and this is kind of a whimsical quote which leaves a pleasant image in my mind. Mrs. Darling first heard of Peter when she was tidying up her children's minds. It is the nightly custom of every good mother, after her children are asleep, to rummage in their minds and put things straight for next morning, repacking into their proper places the many articles that have wandered during the day. It's just such a nice image, and if only that were true, if only parents could really rummage through their children's minds and set things in order and make everything right. It puts such a vivid image in my mind. And quote number 5 comes from a favorite of mine from my first year in university. No, second year in university, second year. I read it in the fall of my second year. Revolution for the Hell of It by Abby Hoffman. Great work by a 60s author and activist, a yippie. For a period of time, I was deeply fascinated by 60s counterculture in the United States, and so I read up a lot of books like this. But the first line of this book still sticks with me. Revolution for the hell of it? Why not? It's all a bunch of phony words anyway. That sets the tone for the entire book, and I don't necessarily believe it, but it's kind of a freeing concept, a romantic concept, if you will, and it makes the book kind of an unrealistic joy to read through. I don't even know if that makes any sense, but I like that quote for unexplainable reasons. It appeals to a certain political part of me, I suppose. But yeah, those are 5 quotes, so that has been the tag, and I have no idea who to tag. The Perks of Books pretty much covered all the people that I would normally tag, so if you're watching this and you haven't done this tag yet, I know a large number of people have already done this, but if you haven't done it, consider yourself tagged. Have a good night.